In the headlines, President Irfaan Ali, other government ministers undergo testing after Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd tests positive for COVID-19. The contracts for Imran Khan of DPI and Enrico Woolford of NCN have been terminated. The PPP government is preparing an emergency budget which will be in place by the end of this month. ExxonMobil's third development project offshore Guyana is on hold as government embarks on a review of its work. And in sports, CPL working to create virtual experience for cricketers stuck in biosecure bubble in Trinidad. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you could join us. First up, President Irfaan Ali and several members of his cabinet on Wednesday afternoon underwent emergency testing for COVID-19. The tests on President Ali and his cabinet members were done after Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd tested positive for the coronavirus. The president has asked all his ministers to work remotely until systems can be put in place to ensure that the government's work is done safely and transparently. President Irfaan Ali, Vice President Bar Jagdeo, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, Attorney General Anil Nandlal, and Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister Kwame McCoy have all been tested for coronavirus. The top brass of the government decided to get tested after it was revealed that Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Hugh Todd tested positive for the deadly virus. All ministers have been instructed by President Ali to undergo PCR COVID-19 testing as a precautionary method.
I have advised all cabinet members to undergo a COVID-19 test as a precautionary measure. I have advised ministers to work remotely until they receive the results of their tests.
The newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd, received his positive result for COVID-19 earlier on Wednesday. The condition was revealed by President Irfaan Ali Wednesday afternoon, saying it was a matter of great importance nationally.
I have since advised him to inform all individuals whom he came into contact with to work with the Minister of Health to facilitate contact tracing and possible testing.
Minister Todd first raised an alarm after he realized that he had come into contact with someone who has tested positive for the deadly virus, and he decided to take the COVID-19 test, which came back positive. Todd was sworn in as the minister on August 5 at the Arthur Chang Conference Center. He has since met with the president and other members of the government and held familiarization meetings with staff of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. On Sunday last, he held a joint press conference at State House with the Foreign Minister of Suriname, Albert Ramdin, and other ministers of the Surinamese delegation that visited Guyana for the inauguration ceremony of President Ali. He also met with the Surinamese President, Shandrika Santokhi. He also had several meetings, including a courtesy call from United States Ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch. He also attended the inauguration of President Ali on Saturday, where hundreds of persons were in attendance at the National Cultural Center. Ali urged all of Guyana to ensure they continue to protect themselves from the coronavirus, which has already killed more than 20 persons here and infected over 600.
I commit to doing everything necessary to ensure the safety of the Guyanese people. I want to also take this opportunity to remind all Guyanese that this pandemic has no barriers, and as such, I ask you to continue to take the necessary precautions. Ensure that you follow the guidelines of the Ministry of Health. Ensure that you wear your mask, especially when you're out in public places. Ensure, as far as possible, you adhere to social distancing. This is a time when all of us must come together, must work together to ensure that our country and all our citizens remain safe.
Kurt Campbell, Newsroom. We tell you now that the contract of Imran Khan, the head of the Department of Public Information, has been terminated. This was confirmed by Kwame McCoy, Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister. Khan was appointed to the position shortly after the coalition APNU-AFC took office in 2015. When his contract was being renewed in September 2018, then Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu had recommended a salary of $800,000, but the Minister of State, Joseph Harman, did not approve it. Instead, Harman told the Prime Minister that the upper ceiling for persons with the designation of director is $701,767, and that is what was being approved for Khan. So Khan's contract was renewed with a salary of $701,767, but he then received a duty-free allowance of $100,000 and lived in government housing for which he had 24-hour security, and his electricity, water, landline and mobile phone bills along with internet service were all paid for. He also received a duty-free allowance to buy a vehicle for official duties. Further, his vacation days amounted to 42 days, and he was also granted a vacation allowance of a monthly salary. We also tell you that the contract of Enrico Woolford, the Chief Executive Officer of State TV and Radio NCN, has also been terminated. This has been confirmed by Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy. Woolford was formerly appointed chair of the board of NCN but was later made its executive chairman after the then CEO Lennox Cornett resigned in December 2017. Woolford was paid a salary of $800,000, a duty allowance of $40,000, a traveling allowance of $80,000, an entertainment allowance of $40,000, a housing allowance of $50,000, a security allowance of $30,000, a refreshment allowance of $10,000 for his office. In addition, he received a gratuity of 22.5% of his salary twice per year. He further received a one-month vacation with a vacation allowance of a month's salary. His cell phone bill was also paid up to $15,000, while his local landline calls were all paid for together with his internet bill. The government of Guyana is working on an emergency national budget to be introduced this month to address critical issues in a timely manner. The country has been operating without a 2020 budget. President Irfaan Ali on Tuesday said the initial budget will be presented when Parliament reconvenes and will be followed by another one later in the year.
At the moment, we are working on what I would term an emergency budget. A budget that we have to go to quickly. Of course, we will have the more expansive budget later this year, but we have to have a budget to move forward with to the end of this year and to deal with some of the immediate issues, including the program for the $4.5 billion to help at the household level in terms of the COVID pandemic. Well, we have asked all the technical staff to cut those timelines by 75%. Because we need to get to that budget. People are suffering, we need to help various sectors, and we need to bring some relief. I've also asked the Bank of Guyana to work on a relief package that will help people at the household level, one, but secondly, help small businesses and people who would have had loans and storms for housing and so on.
President Ali had announced a $4.5 billion relief package for persons affected by the deadly COVID-19 pandemic. This money, he said, was already secured from international partners. When the newsroom returns, ExxonMobil's third development project offshore Guyana is on hold as government embarks on a review of its work. An unwanted bulletin is issued for the man involved in the deadly triangular love affair. Welcome back. You're watching the newsroom. ExxonMobil's third development project offshore Guyana is on hold as the People's Progressive Party government awaits a review of the Payara Field Development Plan before granting approval. Bibi Katoon reports.
ExxonMobil and its partners submitted the Payara Field Development Plan in September of 2019 and have been waiting on approval since. President Irfaan Ali, at the sidelines of an event on Tuesday, told the media that the government will review the project before granting approval for the third development project to commence offshore Guyana.
Throughout the campaign, I made it very clear that we have to review things, specifically in relation to the Payara license. I have asked Vice President, and not only asked the Vice President, but I have convened a meeting with various stakeholders. And I've made it very clear that we're going to have a review of all that has been done so far. So we're in the process of engaging an international expert to do that review on the work that has been done so far.
The government is still to source the money to fund the review along with the expert, but has reached out to Canada for assistance.
We have identified it first. What we had to do first of all is secure the financing, see where financing is. There's a lot of technical assistance in the sector. We have approached the Canadian High Commission, for example, for help in relation to sourcing someone getting someone. So that is where we are.
The responsibility for the energy sector currently falls under the President's office. President Ali said on Tuesday while the day-to-day operations will be handled by the Ministry of Natural Resources and its sub-agencies, the policy governing the sector will be handled by the Office of the President. Once it gets on stream, the Payara project will ramp up oil production to 750,000 barrels of oil per day. The project was expected to come on stream in 2023, but as a result of the delayed approval and COVID-19 restrictions, the project is delayed to 2026. Bibi Katun reporting for the newsroom.
The Guyana Police Force has issued a wanted bulletin for Richardo Mitchell, known as Cardo, in relation to the murder committed on Winston Robertson on August 10 at Cotton Tree Public Road, West Coast, Berbice. The 31-year-old's last known address is Lot 30 Bennett Dam, Rosignol, West Bank, Berbice. Robertson, 33, was shot by Mitchell on Monday evening. Robertson, called High Rollers, a red man, a fisherman of Cotton Tree Village, succumbed to his injuries on Tuesday morning at the New Amsterdam Hospital in Region 6. According to reports, at approximately 19:30 hours, Robertson was at a car wash in Cotton Tree when the armed man opened fire on him. Reports indicate that Robertson was having an affair with the suspect's wife. Meanwhile, Robertson's wife, Diana Samantha Robertson, told the newsroom that she's still trying to come to grips with the devastating news. She said she's unaware of the allegations by the suspect that her husband was in an entanglement with the unnamed woman. As the regional authorities struggle to control the crossover of persons from Brazil, Mayor of Lethem, John Macedo, has revealed that those placed in isolation are also defying guidelines not to mingle with residents and purchase items from shops in the town. During a meeting with government ministers and the regional COVID-19 task force on Tuesday, it was agreed that the more resources will be made available to health officials to tackle the spread of the disease. Bibi Katun reports.
Region 9 has 113 active cases of COVID-19, with 36 in the town of Lethem. In Lethem, the Mayor John Macedo and Deputy Mayor Deborah King have raised concerns that positive patients are leaving the isolation facilities to meet with others in the town.
In the afternoon, I observed people on both sides of the fence communicating with one another, which is really dangerous for Lethem. You need to have better security, right? The fence is not perfect there, and we need to do something with that fence urgently, right? And persons are leaving that facility and mixing with the residents.
There should be a guard there. If somebody comes there, they have to meet with a guard. Because from the radio station, the regional guest house that houses isolation or quarantine persons there, they get so much, it's very welcoming. And anybody can drive in and anybody can mix and mingle with them.
The malaria building, the regional guest house, and the facility at the Lethem Regional Hospital are used as isolation facilities, while quarantine patients are kept in a hotel in the region. The mayor and deputy mayor raised concerns during a meeting with the regional health officer, Dr. Niall Utman, head of the Civil Defense Commission, Kester Craig, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Darmlal, and Minister of Armed Affairs, Pauline Sakai, on Tuesday in Lethem. The ministers visited the region to meet with the COVID-19 task force to discuss what is needed in the region to tackle the disease. In response to the concerns, Craig said the regional task force will look at that as a priority.
There is a significant threat to life, COVID-19, and we have to get that message out to the population. I know initially when COVID-19 impacted Guyana, Region 9 was one of the regions that had all the measures in place. So to me, it's a position whereby people become complacent. And we need to restart that campaign so that people will be aware of the seriousness of COVID-19. Apart from that, where the security challenges are, I'll ask the task force to look at the priority, because you have to contain and stop the spread.
He further called on the private sector to assist in tackling the virus. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal, in his closing remarks, also committed to having the issues addressed in a faster manner. He further disclosed that the Prime Minister, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, has established a cabinet subcommittee, including himself, the Amerindian Affairs Minister, Minister of Public Works Juan Ejel, and Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindhya Prasad to tackle the spread of the disease.
We have to get this very quickly. This is actually going to be worse than Region 1 because you live almost in, well, the Brazilians almost live here, right? And Brazil, 20 million cases up to yesterday afternoon worldwide. Brazil is the second most devastated country. So it's not something for us to play around with. It is not something for us to talk about over and over again. We have to get out and get the work done.
12 indigenous villages have so far recorded COVID-19 cases in Region 9. On Tuesday, the government donated 520 hampers and over 2,000 face masks to Tushaus and community leaders in the region to aid households that are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of Amerindian Affairs said items will be given to the residents so that they can do what is necessary to protect themselves.
I think the CDC has some plans to provide some of the, what do you call it, the sanitizing hampers. We hope that we could, at some point in time, provide those level of support to the Amerindian villages, because you are more aware than most of us that some of these items are basically almost non-existent in some of the homes. So it is important for you to continue to ask the village councils to continue their propagation of the protocols.
According to the regional health officer, 404 persons were tested in the region so far. He noted that one of the major challenges is getting results in the region in a timely manner. In the interim, the National Reference Laboratory in Georgetown has begun sending the digital copies of the results before the hard copies. Dr. Uthman also reiterated the concerns with persons traveling from Brazil, which has recorded the second highest number of cases globally. He revealed that there are 25 crossings in the region, and this is hard to monitor. The regional commander, Superintendent Keaton King, told the meeting that he has requested additional resources through the Deputy Commander administrations. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
Still ahead on the Newsroom, 30 medical technologists will soon be trained to test for COVID-19. And police launch probe into shooting of house owned by Guyanese critic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the Newsroom. The rice agreement between Guyana and Panama is in turmoil, according to Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa, who on Tuesday said that Panama owes Guyana some $1.4 billion for rice supplied to them. This has caused a ripple effect on the local rice industry, and millers are now withholding $353.9 million in commission to the Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, because they have not received payment for the rice supplied to Panama.
Initial checks reveal a delay in payment of commission to the board by millers. Normally, millers used to have to pay the board a commission. At the end of July, millers owe the board $353,925,513. The millers owe the board that. There is also a delay in receipt of payment for rice supplied to Panama. And that agreement, millers are owed $1,184,198,400. So the agreement that the previous government had or have with Panama, that agreement is in serious problem. That sales there of rice is in serious problem. There's an outstanding payment that Panama has to make to the millers in Guyana, $1,184,198,400. The entity has a current liability of $4.7 million. Its revenue stream can be severely adversely affected by the ongoing delay in payment from Panama. Because the millers are not receiving their payment, as a result, they are holding back the payment as commission to the board. And the board is now a deficit. My ministry will act immediately to reverse these situations so that this debt can be paid from Panama. We will also meet with the millers to have them work on payments for the millers as soon as possible.
In September 2018, Panamanian authorities rejected 33 containers of rice shipments after it was found that parboiled rice was shipped instead of the requested white rice. Panama is one of Guyana's major export market for rice. A total of 30 medical technologists will soon be trained to test for COVID-19, according to Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. This will allow for more testing to be done. Additionally, the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, on Wednesday donated more medical supplies to aid in the country's COVID-19 fight. Isanella Patwa reports.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony says more COVID-19 testing needs to be done to better ascertain and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in Guyana. Dr. Anthony explained that if there is no testing, there will be no results and persons will continue to believe that there is no infection. As such, 30 medical technologists will soon be trained in PCR testing to increase testing. The training will be done in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, WHO. WHO has been supporting the country throughout the health crisis and on Wednesday donated additional medical supplies to the Health Ministry at the Materials Management Unit at Diamond, East Bank, Demerara. The items donated on Wednesday include COVID-19 test kits, examination stethoscopes, oxygen concentrators, thousands of masks, including surgical and oxygen, personal protective equipment, face shields, and goggles. Dr. Anthony said the items will not only benefit frontline health workers, but also assist patients.
Because if we don't have the right type of equipment, then we are putting patients' safety at risk. And with this disease, from what we have known so far, people can move very quickly from looking quite normal, maybe having very few symptoms, and they deteriorate rapidly where they need ventilators. And if we do not have those ventilators, if we do not have those beds that are equipped and properly equipped, then we'll have some problems. Hopefully this week, with the assistance of PAHO, we'll start the training of about 30 medical technologists so that they can become versed in PCR testing.
PAHO WHO country representative for Guyana, Dr. William Aduko, assured that the organization will continue to support Guyana's COVID-19 fight and further revealed that 30,000 test kits will arrive next week.
Honorable Minister, on behalf of the Pan American Health Organization and on behalf of the Pan American Health Organization country office, I would like to make this presentation to you to help you in the work that you are doing and will continue to do with the mindset that we will be able to flatten the curve. And we will be able to flatten the curve in such a way that we maintain our lives and maintain also our livelihoods.
Guyana on August 11, 2020 surpassed 600 COVID-19 cases. 34 new cases were recorded on Tuesday, and a total of 98 cases were recorded within the last 4 days. To date, 5,366 COVID-19 tests have been done and 22 persons have died. Reporting for the Newsroom, I am Isanella Patwa.
The Guyana Police Force has launched an investigation into the shooting of a house owned by Mikhail Rodriguez, known as Guyanese Critic. Police headquarters in a statement revealed that the shooting occurred at around 21:30 hours Tuesday at Good Hope, East Coast, Demerara. Inquiries indicate that the son of Rodriguez and his friends were inside of the house when the house came under attack. Several spent shells were recovered at the scene. The police are currently reviewing CCTV cameras in the area as investigations continue. President Irfaan Ali Tuesday night attended a Hindu religious event at Crane on the west coast of Demerara to celebrate the birth of Lord Krishna. During his remarks, the president recommitted to building a unified, strong, and peaceful Guyana.
President of Guyana, Dr. Irfaan Ali, visited the Crane Hindu Temple in Region 3 Tuesday evening to celebrate the birth of Lord Krishna. The president last year had promised to return to the temple. In delivering brief remarks to the residents, the president promised to break the barriers that divide the country. Promises were also made to reduce poverty and to have a peaceful and unified country. The president said the COVID-19 pandemic shows that there is no difference between humanity and recommitted to building a stronger Guyana.
Our prayers must be concentrated on building a Guyana that affords opportunity for every Guyanese. Our prayers must be concentrated on building a country that is peaceful, one in which poverty is removed from every doorstep, one in which dignity must be returned to every life, one in which honor must be returned to every home, one in which children respect their parents, one in which young people honor the elderly, one in which the elderly give young people a chance to blossom, one in which we can all be proud of.
President Ali further assured the residents that the PPP government will create job opportunities for everyone.
And I assure you that we will work assiduously. We will work hard in not only securing these lives and families and livelihood for them, but we will work hard on creating new opportunities, on advancing new opportunities, and on fulfilling the promises that we would have made in our manifesto. That is my humble commitment on behalf of our government to you.
The president also mentioned the government's plan to reopen the closed sugar estates. However, the Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa, at a recent online press briefing, could not give a time frame as to when the estates will reopen or how much money will be needed to have the factories operational again. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanela Pato.
The police are investigating the armed robbery committed in 22-year-old Deepa Knott of Haslington, East Coast, Demerara, which occurred on Tuesday along the Annandale Public Road. According to the victim, two men armed with a handgun robbed her of one silver chain valued $20,000, her wedding ring valued $36,000, a purse valued $1,000 containing $1,000. Police headquarters said no arrest has been made and investigations are ongoing. When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bird reports along with sport. Welcome back to the newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We start things off with some cricket news. The Caribbean Premier League's Tournament Operations Director, Michael Hall, has indicated they are working to establish indoor recreational activities for the players to help combat the mental rigors of being in a biosecure environment. Hall made the disclosure during a virtual press conference this week. Akim Green reports.
Since August 3rd, players, coaches and other officials had to arrive in Trinidad and Tobago to begin their quarantine period for the August 18th start. The entire touring party is based at the Hilton Hotel, and apart from match days at the Queen's Park Oval and the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, they will have practice sessions at the University of West Indies Sport and Physical Education Centre at St. Augustine. These stringent measures come in an effort to keep the players safe in midst of COVID-19, but the long days of confinement have shown to take a mental toll on the players.
Yeah, look, we're very cognizant of the fact that being in an environment for an extended period of time is going to be challenging for a lot of people. And we have already proactively been taking some steps to mitigate that. You know, we're going to create, I believe that we've created an esports league where the players can represent their franchises and take on each other, playing a virtual cricket game. And we intend to carry that through all the way to a championship round. I think that there's extreme interest in that on the part of the players. I think we're working with one of our sponsors to create a player lounge that would have, you know, significant number of televisions where live sports can be viewed and other events can take place. Obviously, within that player lounge area, we're going to have to exercise all the social distancing protocols that are in place, 6 feet, face coverings, etc. And perhaps a massive group will not be able to go in there at any one time.
No spectators are allowed in the venues, and players are expected to have no physical contact with persons outside of the bubble, which marks a stark and enforced change to the norms of the biggest party in sport. However, Hall said he is unsure how much those off-field aspects will affect the quality of on-field play.
I would only be speculating if I said that I thought that the players wouldn't perform as well as they have in the previous years in the absence of a crowd. I don't know whether the players are going to be affected by it. You know, most athletes do enjoy the crowd atmosphere and they get G'd up by it and so on. It remains to be seen. Clearly, the tournament is going to miss the fans. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I don't think that I think we deserve the name the biggest party in sport. I think it's been proven over the years that we are.
The opening match of the tournament on August 18th will feature the Guyana Amazon Warriors with the home side Trinidad Knight Riders at 10 hours. The final is slated for September 10th. eNetworks is exclusive broadcaster of the league, broadcasting all matches on its various platforms. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
After a second round of testing, all players and officials have been given all clear ahead of the start of the Caribbean Premier League next week. Details in this report.
In a press release on Tuesday night, CPL said all those who were involved in the league have tested negative for COVID-19. Those who traveled into Trinidad and Tobago have now had 2 tests since arrival, all of which have been negative. Those who are resident of Trinidad and Tobago joining the tournament bubble have also returned negative tests. With this news, all franchise teams will now commence training and CPL officials and TV crew will now have limited freedom to move around the tournament hotel in small clusters. Before the CPL cohort traveled to Trinidad and Tobago, there were 5 people who either tested positive for COVID-19 or were in close contact with someone who had, and the strict tournament protocols meant that they could not travel. Michael Hall, CPL's Tournament Operations Director, said, and I quote, "The rigorous testing that we did before people traveled, along with other protocols we put in place in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and the CPL's Medical Advisory Committee, have put us in a fantastic place. However, this is just the start of the process and we will continue to be vigilant as we look to put on a successful tournament. CPL would like to thank all members of the cohort for working so hard to get us to this position." End quote. The tournament gets underway on August 18 and will see 33 games played at 2 venues in Trinidad. The first match will see last year's runners-up, the Guyana Amazon Warriors, take on 3-time winners Trinidad Knight Riders. The final will take place on September 10.
President of the Athletics Association of Guyana, Aubrey Hudson, has tentatively set August month-end for the return of competitive track and field activities, but under extremely strict guidelines. As a measured approach to the restart, the association is looking to organize a road relay race on the east coast of Demerara before returning to the track.
As the phased reopening of the country continues, the AAG is hoping they can get their athletes back on the track, especially given they are not considered a contact sport. The first stage, according to Hudson, will be a road race in the Mahaika area on the east coast of Demerara.
We are currently planning a road race, a road relay for the Mahaika area, which is an inter-village road relay. We ask the villages, Pleasant, Frieslas, Bedford, those communities to come up with teams to run a 5x1,000 meter road relay, and it's just a signal of coming back into competition, and we think it's a quite big open space. We have gone up there quite a few times and see the villages themselves organize these track and field athletes with these meets on the road, and we think it's a great idea to follow World Athletics mandate of taking the sport to the people, taking it into the communities. And we just thought it was a good idea to have that road relay. But that's primarily for villages along the East Coast area.
The AAG will then look to make a return to the track with a relay competition at Enmore.
We were looking at relay championships at Enmore Ground. This is, again, breaking the club structure or the club line championship and go for East Coast versus Georgetown, Linden, West Demerara, Berbice, both East and West Berbice, and put together a 6-team championship, because there's always this question of which area has the best athletes. Everybody gravitates to Georgetown or those in the far-flung areas like Linden would stay in Linden. But there's always a thought that the East Demerara do produce good athletes. It's just that they come and compete in Georgetown. Davin Fraser is from the East Coast at Victoria, Akeem Stewart is an East Coast athlete. Young Booker is an East Coast athlete. So we have quite a few athletes who live on the East Coast but compete in Georgetown. And we think it's going to be a very interesting relay championship. So that's I think, being set up for August. Let me put my calendar code here. That's slated for August 23rd. All things being equal.
World Athletics has advised organizers to put chlorine in the water jump, clean relay batons between each use, and add a solution containing a viricide agent to sandpits as part of hygiene guidelines for events during the coronavirus pandemic. For the newsroom, Martin Green.
Long-serving cricket journalist and commentator Sean Devers took ill on Tuesday morning, suffering a transient or mini stroke. Devers, a cancer survivor, has been rushed to the intensive care unit of the Georgetown Public Hospital after collapsing at home. According to a family member, the effects wore off during the course of the day. Devers, who turned 50 this year, has since been discharged. He spoke to the newsroom on Wednesday.
Well, I want to say thanks to everyone who offered prayers and everything else. I had a minor, a mini stroke yesterday morning, and I could not have spoken, but I'm back now. But they said it might take about 3 or 4 days to be fully back. They said that it was nothing to do with my brain surgery. It was more due to a lack of rest. So I have to start resting more. What I do now is the staying home time. So I send my stories from home, and I wake up in the night when the place is quiet, and then I write my features and so on. Only like if I got a new story, then I would write it in the day. But I gotta stop doing that. Gotta eat better. Well, I'm exercising now. I'm getting really fit now. So that was surprising to me what happened yesterday morning. But I'm good. I gotta go back for treatment. I was in the ICU. But everything is coming along very good. And thanks again to all of those who would have called. I couldn't answer all the calls. I had lots of calls, but I'm good.
In 2012, Devers had to undergo brain surgery to remove the cancerous tumor in Trinidad and Tobago. He was later declared cancer-free. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. On behalf of the news and technical teams, I'm Kurt Campbell saying good evening.